everyone, and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. Today is April 13th, 2021. I will call this meeting to order and ask if we all could stand for the flag salute. I do have a flag where we can direct our vision. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to continue on to the consent agenda, but prior to that, since we do still have a few newer members, we'll just go a quick run through. We are going to mute ourselves unless we are speaking, and we'll first hear a report. We'll open it to public comments. We'll hear from the applicant, and then we will be able to respond person to person. And that's it for now. Does anyone have a prior problem like that or confusion with any of the agenda items? Not, then we will go on to the consent agenda. Yes.
Yes, good evening, commissioners.
Wait, Oliver?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you roll call real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez. Oh. Go ahead. Commissioner, can you unmute yourself for roll call, please? Commissioner Lopez, can you unmute yourself for roll call, please?
Or nod.
I heard Elizabeth remind everybody to mute it, and I did. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair Sanchez.
Present.
Commissioner Quill.
Present.
Commissioner Flores.
Here.
Commissioner Armstead.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Lewis.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Chang.
Yeah.
Commissioner Morales.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Guerrero will join us, but she's not with us yet. We have quorum.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you for reminding us about the roll call. I completely skipped over that. All right, Oliver, if we could have the consent agenda, please.
Yes, of course, commissioners. Before you tonight on the consent calendar, we have two items. They are the minutes for the meeting, the regular meeting of March the 9th, and the minutes for the special meeting that was conducted on March the 24th. They are complete as presented, and we are asking for your approval of these minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. At this time, I'll open public hearing for this item. Does anyone wish to speak? If not, then I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Oh, I'll second. So we have a motion, we have a second. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Quill.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead.
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis.
Yes.
Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
And Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
The item passes.
Wonderful. All right, moving on to public hearing items. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff, and then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, members of the public will be allowed to speak. After all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed, and the Planning Commission will begin deliberations and make a decision. All actions except general plan amendments and amendments to the Municipal Development Code are final actions unless an appeal is filed and the fee paid within 15 days to the Community Development Department. If you challenge the resultant action of the Planning Commission in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda, or in written correspondence delivered to the Community Development Department at or prior to the public hearing. All right. If we could have the staff report, please.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Good evening. Item number 3 is conditional use permit 19-02. Next slide, please. The proposed project is to develop, establish, and operate a telecommunications facility camouflaged as a 65-foot mono elm, supporting 9 antennas and co-location for future carriers within an approximate 1,200 square foot ground-mounted equipment enclosure on a parcel containing approximately 0.14 acres owned by Becky and Steve Klaus of the city of San Bernardino, located 2,500 feet west of Route 66, Waterman Avenue at APN 0139-221-13 within the Commercial General 1 CG1 zone. Next slide, please. Here we have the location map with the project site outlined. Next slide, please. Here we have the aerial map. As you can see, the proposed site is outlined in red. We also do have 2 other businesses abutting the proposed site. They are not a part of the project. However, they are in existing conditions and have been in existing businesses. So we have to the north 861 Medical Center Drive, which is now T&L Auto Repair, and it was established in 1991 with no change in land use. To the north of the project site, we have 1608 Union. That has been Canelo's Auto Repair, which was established in 1956, and also Hill Auto Repair, established in 1993. And it is now Andy's Auto Repair with no change in land use. Next slide, please. Site selection was based on an analysis by T-Mobile radio frequency engineers centered on a lack of service coverage and insufficient coverage capacity during high cell usage, which prevents successful call completion and overall quality of the signal. The equipment, the facility would be camouflaged to mimic a mono elm, and the associated ground-mounted equipment will be located within a decorative block wall equipment enclosure designed to integrate corner treatments and an easy streetscape transition. The site will be accessed via an access gate on Union Street. It wouldn't impede any traffic. It would operate quietly and virtually noise-free. Would be landscaped accordingly and only requires periodic maintenance of the site equating to about once to twice a month. Broader range of services has been identified as an issue for callers within that area, and the addition of the tower would allow effective site geometry through the triangulation with other active cell sites in the area and would relieve congestion for calls and reduce the capacity load for other cell sites. This increases capacity for 911 emergency calls, in which more than half of those are made by mobile phones. The facility would also support the growing number of community members working and going to school from home and that are relying on a fast, dependable telecommunications network. The proposed project would regulate and eliminate blight by utilizing an underused vacant parcel previously used to store vehicles for the surrounding existing automobile repair facilities. And the proposed project provides infrastructure that provides for long-term growth within the city and would be 5G ready to allow for higher data transfers, enhanced coverages for 911 emergency calls, provide a higher security for cell phone users, and support the workforce and students working from home. Next slide, please. We have the existing site before March 8th, 2021. As you can see, it's convoluted with cars. If you look at the aerial, we have cars all on the proposed site. Next slide, please. Now we have the existing site. After we worked with the owners, they have cleaned up the site and are ready for their project. So we're looking at the existing site looking south. Next slide. We are looking at the existing site looking north towards the 215 freeway. Next slide, please. We are looking at the existing site looking east towards Route 66 or Waterman Avenue. As you can see, it is clean. Next slide, please. And existing site looking west. Next slide, please. Here we have the site plan with the proposed lease area, Medical Center Drive in West Union Street. We have landscape around the compound. We have the compound wall decorative. We have the 65-foot overall mono elm. We have the driveway entrance off of West Union Street. Next slide, please. Here we have the elevations. We have the overall height of the tower at 65 feet with the proposed T-Mobile center line of 60 feet and what we call co-location feature carrier antenna located at 50 feet. Next slide, please. We have our landscaping. We have the plant schedule where they will be adding redbud trees and vine trumpets to the facility. Next slide, please. Here we have the conceptual site, east view, a future site. We can see the proposed 65-foot mono elm, the proposed co-location. We have the compound wall, and of course, the landscaping surrounding it. Next slide, please. Here is the same conceptual site looking north. You can see the access gate right there based off of Union. Next slide, please. Here we have the coverage present. This is what is available to the users of mobile frequency at the time. Next slide, please. And this is the future. So you can see it's expanded quite a bit. Next slide, please. So our recommendation today is Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2021-012, adopting the categorical exemption, which was section 13303 for new construction or conversion of small structures, which exempts new small facilities or structures such as a telecommunications facility, and approving conditional use permit 19-02 based on the findings of facts and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. I can take any questions that you may have, and the applicant is also here as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. At this time, I'll open public hearing for this item. Stephanie, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Okay, perfect. So we'll let the applicant speak if he wants to add anything to the report or make any comments.
Thank
Yes,
you.
hi.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. This is Tom Lee on behalf of the applicant Vertical Bridge. And really, we just wanted to take a minute to thank Mr. Rosales, Ms. Marica, and everyone else that we worked with at the city for, really working with us and putting in the time to develop a facility that I think will benefit the city and will work for both T-Mobile and us. We would be happy to answer any questions that anyone has, and really look forward to the opportunity to improve the service and help people get access to important technology, which, as we all know now more than ever, is a key feature of our lives. So thank you again for all the support to get here, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Dunaway, would you like to speak?
I just also wanted to say thank you to staff, and thank you, Mr. Rosales, for such a great staff report and covering all of the important issues for the project here. And just thank you again for working with us on this project. We really appreciate it. And I'm available to answer any questions that the commission may have. Thanks again.
Wonderful. Thank you. Starting with Commissioner Lopez, any comments?
Only to thank you for the presentation to staff, and I have no questions at this time.
Wonderful. Commissioner Quill, any comments?
Yes, I do have a question, actually. The wall that is going to go around the property, or in the elevation view, it showed a wall. Is that 4 foot or 6 foot, or what's proposed to encompass the parcel?
That would be an 8 foot high block wall, sir.
Does that 8 foot block wall go up to the property line?
It will be up to the property line, sir.
Is that permissible?
It would be. There would be no site problems with the line of sight coming off of Union to Medical. It's stepped back in a way that there would be no line of sight issues.
Okay, but I thought there was a regulation with pertaining to the height of the wall. There is no restrictions to 6 foot high or
we allow up to 8 feet in the commercial general 1 zone, and for such a project we would allow 8 feet.
Okay, and that's a concrete block wall?
That would be a concrete block wall, but it will be designed to have it'd be I don't know if it's split face but it is decorative.
Okay, but there's no wire or or anything on top of it to, no barbed wire on top of it?
No barbed wire on top of it, sir.
Okay, does the wall
Yes, sir.
go completely around the circumference of the property?
It will go completely around the compound enclosure. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Quill. Commissioner Flores, any comments?
Yeah, one question. And I don't know if staff is able to answer this, but do we know what the distribution of these towers are in the city and how many are in this area? I imagine there's not many given the reason why this is being built, but just want to make sure no community is being burdened with cell towers.
If I may, too, we do not have all the cell towers plotted, and usually the industry kind of regulates itself, if I may, as it relates to how close they are and so forth, and just by the towers themselves, when they talk about how many antenna are on there and so forth, it's to carry a large geographic area kind of thing, and so it allows for a general little overlap. And maybe Scott or Tom, if you don't mind, is there an industry standard or a practice, if you will, of how close or how far these cell towers are usually plotted? Is there kind of a standard that you go by?
Scott, if you
It's
don't mind,
usually
I'll let you
done.
speak to that.
Yeah, sure. It's usually done. It's done by line of sight, so it depends on the terrain. But if it's a flat terrain like where we are now, they're about between 1.5 mile and 1/2 mile distance from each other, and that provides the connectivity, the handoffs from each tower to tower without losing service. So, rule of thumb about 1/2 mile to mile placement.
Got it. Thank you. Those are all my comments for now.
Perfect. Commissioner Armstead, any comments?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Let's see, you answered it's going to be an 8-foot block wall. So one question is graffiti. Are they going to come out and check the graffiti weekly, or, if that's going to be a big issue, especially in this area?
Yes, Commissioner, we do have a condition of approval that says that they will check the site regularly and keep it free of graffiti, maintain the landscaping, and to such accord.
Okay, my understanding is you're coming twice, every 2 weeks, twice a month? That's what you said, twice a month?
Yeah, it equates to about once to twice a month for maintenance.
And if we see graffiti, can we complain and you take care of it? So we're not waiting 2 weeks and it's looking bad for 2 weeks or 3 weeks until you come out?
I could do what I can, and I think maybe the applicant can probably answer that a little bit better.
Yes. So on all of our facilities that are installed, there's a maintenance 1-800 number that can be called and reported for graffiti and that sort of nature. And it'll go to a direct person.
Okay, that was a good one. Thank you. Also, is the land purchased by the company, or is it leased by the company? The land that you're going to put this on.
No, the land will be leased. It will be a leased portion of the property.
So I hope it's a long-term lease.
Yes, it's in the range of 25 years.
That works. Okay. And then my last one is for the staff. Is there a way we can get a map of where the towers are throughout this city? As it was brought up before, we want to make sure no community is overburdened with them. Can the staff provide us a map of
What answer your question? Yes, we can. It'll take some time. It'll take a minute. What I can do is at the next meeting, under my director's report, I can give you an update as to where we are on that exercise.
All right.
And then at that point be able to better explain when that exhibit will be available.
Yeah, that'll really help the rest of us to make sure no community is inundated with towers. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
At this point, I would like to comment that Commissioner Guerrero is present, and if we could have that on record. All right. Continuing on, Commissioner Lewis, any comments?
Well, yes, I just have a couple of questions. I'm hearing that and somewhat seeing it's a little, my drawings are quite small, but the block wall that surrounds the mono elm tree is going to be pretty much on the property lines, all four sides.
No, so there'll be a wrought iron fence on the perimeter of the property, but surrounding the actual compound would be the block wall. So it's not going to be a block wall completely surrounding the perimeter of the entire property. It's just the enclosure and hiding the equipment itself. And then you also have fencing surrounding the block wall on the property line.
So, thank you, Mr. Rosales. I want to know then, so the positioning of the enclosed block wall, is that somewhat centered on the property there?
Yes, it's stepped back out of the line of sight from the streets. So when you're turning off of Union onto Medical, it wouldn't obstruct any line of sight view.
Right, because so the block wall from the property line to the to the east from the property line, which would that would be the other auto repair shop there. It butts up right against that.
Yes.
To the start of the block wall on that side, which would be the east side of that block wall.
Yes.
Does that, because I'm seeing that the mono elm is about 5.2 feet from the block wall to the center of the post. Do we have 5 feet more out between the property line and that block wall?
Correct.
Stephanie, would you mind putting up the site plan? This on the PowerPoint, please.
Well, that doesn't really show. Let me see.
Right.
This is a little bit better. So as you're looking at the exhibit, obviously to the bottom of the slide or the property, that's where Union Street is. That's what's going east and west. We have Medical Strata Drive, which is on the left, which is going north and south. And so we have so in here we show where the monopalm is. It's to the far right or the extreme east side of the property line. And I think that's what you were alluding to. It looks like it's I don't know. I can't read that dimension. It looks like about five. This is just the enclosure. Okay, so this is so. Do we have the overall site plan on this one, Mike?
We don't. The overall site plan was a little convoluted, and I couldn't get it up.
So
if you go to the aerial map really quick.
So let's go back to that one first, Stephanie. I'm sorry. So what you see on the wall as the perimeter, which looks like it's about 40 feet, 40 by 40 feet. That encompasses all of the facilities for the cell tower. Okay, so within that 40 by 40 enclosure, we have to the right is the actual mono elm, the tree that's on the extreme right, and then to the up in the upper portion of that area, that's where you see the equipment that goes along that supports the telecommunications, the cell tower. So all this is enclosing. This makes up the telecommunications facility itself. So that's the overall description. Now, if we so this is only, this is a small portion of the site, and so if we can go to the maybe the aerial.
Yes, aerial map.
So if we're looking at the slide on the lower right hand portion, so those cars are being removed, and if you recall, we still have Union Street on the bottom. We have Marsh Medical Center on the left hand side, and so we don't have the pointer, but essentially, if you remember that that block wall or that 40 by 40 enclosure, right? Will be adjacent to the red line on the right hand side, on the extreme right hand side. Does that make sense to you? So right in there where Stephanie's moving the cursor. So the enclosure is going to be like in the middle of that area. There's like a white van there.
Yeah.
But over to the right, so it'll be adjacent to right there. So it'll basically come. It looks like it's a van or something, a white van that's in the middle of there. That's opposite the red pointer, the red dot. Stephanie, I don't know if you can, right there. So that's approximately where the tree's going to be, right about there where the cursor is. And so from there you can go 20 feet up and 20 feet down, and then 40 out, and that's kind of a little enclosure in there. So it's to the extreme right of that parcel. Does that kind of make sense? Does that explain it?
Yes. My question revolved around the fact that if we look at, there's language that says that the monopalm must be no closer than 10 feet to a property line. So
okay.
if we've got 5 feet inside of the enclosure, my question is: so is that going to set that block wall 5 feet away from the property line, which is the?
It's not the block wall enclosure that needs to be 10 feet. It's the monopine itself.
Correct.
So yes, you are correct. There is 5 feet from that block wall, but there is also 10 feet incomplete from the property line to the from every side, sir.
Thank you. That's just, so we got 5 and 5. We're good.
Yes.
Also, and one other question: on the Union Street side, that's the side that I'm understanding that the entry driveway for the service technicians or whatever will be. Now that's a 16-foot sliding gate that I'm assuming that means it's, when it's fully open, that gate will need about it'll have to have 32 feet. Yeah, it would have to have 32 feet to open fully. Is that going to be attainable? Because I was there at the site. It's very small. So we're talking 32, 16, and 16. That's 32 feet to open fully. And is that practical? Does it need to be that big, or what was that, a choice thing, or what was that?
Well, we can have the applicant answer that, but I do know that I'm not too sure if the vehicles actually pull up into the facility itself. But Scott, Can you maybe answer that question for us?
Sure. 16 feet just gives the ability to get in, maneuver around, make a turnout if you need to, that sort of thing. But when we've definitely gone smaller, we've gone 12 feet. It's just when the tech pulls in, we want to give him the space to get in and out of the truck and do the maintenance that he need to do. So, but we just,
Okay.
16 feet is plenty of room.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Also, there's currently one drive, well, doesn't matter what currently is there, or we know that I see the language where a lot of that's going to change, but the two driveways that are on the Medical Center Drive, those will be completely eliminated, so there'll be no access into it from that side. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That answers my questions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Chang, any comments?
No comment. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Morales, any comments?
No, not at this time.
Perfect. Commissioner Guerrero, any comments? No? Okay. So I just had one small question. I was noticing the size of the trees that you're going to be planting in there. It seemed like there were 24s, or those are the younger side of the trees, aren't they? I could get clarification.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any possibility of maybe putting at least a 36 or something a little more mature, so when the elm is put in, that way we can have something that kind of matches it just a little bit more?
If I may, we could maybe disperse, that's what we've been doing with some others, where we have a mixture of the 24 and the 36-inch box. I'm not an arborist or landscape architect, but my experience has been when you plant, they start out bigger when they're, when you first plant them, and eventually they're kind of, within a few years they're the same size. And so we like to provide that mixture, because then it kind of provides variety right away. So we can certainly intermix the 36-inch within there. That's okay.
Yes. If we could have that. Is the applicant amenable to having kind of a mixture of different sized trees, so it kind of blends in a little bit faster than maybe the younger trees might be able to grow?
I believe so. We just want to make sure that we're able to fit in the larger box size into the landscaped area. That's why staff and we worked for the 24, because we knew we could fit those into the landscape area. But I think if we were to do a 36-foot tree and it fits, there would be no problem there. Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Aside from that, I think this is a great project. It covers a community that needs the cell service, and you guys are providing a great service for us. Aside from that, I have no other comments. Just say thank you and welcome. And I'll just go through once more. Does anyone else have additional comments?
Through the chair, Madam Chairman, I have a comment. In looking at that aerial view or the plot plan, I see an area there that's landscaped. It looks like that's on Medical Center Drive. Are you going to provide landscaping between the walkway or the sidewalk and the perimeter wall, and have landscaping in that area? I see some arrows with landscaping, called out landscaping.
So between in front of the perimeter, or excuse me, in front of the block wall and the perimeter wall, or
again, when you brought that, if Stephanie brings that drawing up again, we can point out where it's called out landscaping.
The site plan.
Yes, I'm under the impression from that site plan that over on the right-hand side it said landscaping around the compound. Is that going to go continuous around there?
It will go continuous into the line of sight, yes.
Okay, so there is going to be a setback from the property line, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the wall's not up to the property line?
No.
Okay, and the landscaping, is there going to be the comment brought up by the commissioner earlier about the graffiti? Are you going to have some sort of element that grows up on the wall or covers the wall?
The trumpet vines? The trumpet vines will do that, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other comments? If not, I will close public hearing for this item and I will entertain a motion.
I second the motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make the
I'll make a
motion.
motion to pass conditional use permit 1902.
We have a
I'll second
motion
that.
and we have a second. All right. Stephanie, if we could have a vote roll call.
Of course. Commissioner Guerrero? Oh, you're on mute. Okay, your picture's back, but you're still on mute. Raise your hand for yes. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Chair Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Armstead?
Yeah.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes. Can
Thank
you hear me? Yes.
Yes. Okay. And Commissioner Morales?
Yes.
The item passes unanimously.
Congratulations and welcome to the city.
Thank you,
Great.
commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
everybody.
much.
Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
All right. Continuing on to item number 3. If we could have,
Thank
number
you,
4, that's right, 2 drafts.
Thank you, commissioners. Before I introduce Harold Luna, he's one of our new planners on staff. I'm not sure if this is his first item before you, but he's been with us doing a fine job, and he'll be presenting this item for you. As you know, we're undertaking the general plan update, and we have a website that we presented at the last meeting that we're working on. A couple of years ago, we received a grant from the state, from SCAG, I should say, through state funds to do an active transportation plan, basically for bike routes and system for within our city. We're working with a consulting team with staff through SCAG, and Harold's leading that part up from project managing from our standpoint. There is another website that's been created for community engagement and output. And so what we have tonight, and Harold will run through it with the assistance of Stephanie, is kind of the website and how we use it for interaction and public participation. With that, Harold, would you kindly introduce the item?
Yes, thank you very much, Oliver. Madam Chair and fellow commissioners, the next item before you, as Oliver mentioned, is the San Bernardino Active Transportation Plan website. Just before we get started, by a quick show of hands, how many of you usually walk, bike, or use some sort of form of public transportation to get to certain destinations as a form of staying active, or wish that you had a better access to other places within the city by either walking, biking, or using some sort of public transit? So if the commission can just show a quick show of hands. Okay, so it looks like only a couple of you. Well, thank you very much for that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen so that I can introduce the website to the planning commissioner and also the public who might be viewing the meeting tonight. So can everybody see my screen?
No. Not yet.
No? Maybe Stephanie can help me out here.
You want me to bring it up, Harold?
Can you please? It's not coming up on the screen. I don't know.
Sure.
Okay, so the active transportation plan is available on our planning division homepage. It can be accessed by selecting this active transportation plan that's under the navigation bar. Also, the website will contain useful information for this active transportation plans. If you don't mind, Stephanie, scrolling down just a little bit. And we'll go over all this information once we go onto the actual website. So along with the information, there is a project schedule down towards the bottom of the project, and as well as a way to contact the project team for further questions. Stephanie, so if you don't mind going back up to the top of the page and selecting the actual, you can actually access the website by selecting on the logo itself, or down below there is actually the link for the website. So once you're on the city's website, you'll have the unique logo for this active transportation plan for the city of San Bernardino. You'll also have a menu bar that's located right underneath the title. That menu bar will have the 6 different components of the website. And as you scroll down on the website, that menu bar will always be present at the top of the page, which will allow for access to any other components of the website. The very first section would be the welcome portion of the active transportation plan, which provides an introduction to the actual plan. The second category on the website would be the plan goals, which provides a brief description of the project goals, along with focus around 4 key themes, which is connectivity, safety, local access and mobility, and health and environment. Then as you scroll down on the webpage, this is the public participation component of the actual plan. It's the how to get involved. So in this category, there are brief descriptions for the public participation component of the project, which also includes a subscribe feature that you can select. If you don't mind selecting that for me, Stephanie. This will allow you to subscribe so that you can be part of the project's mailing list to receive project updates. And you can just simply sign up by just entering your email address and then clicking on the subscribe button. If you can go back to the website, Stephanie, thank you. So as part of the public participation component, there are going to be 2 separate phases for the project that will be done this year. The first phase is the identifying the community concerns, which started yesterday as the launch of the actual website until the end of May. As part of this community outreach effort, there are going to be 3 different types of public participation, outreach, and engagement opportunities. The first one will be a way for the public to be able to sign up for a virtual focus tour due to COVID-19 concerns. This will be done online through a virtual meeting. And in this meetings, if you scroll down a little bit, Stephanie, there are going to be 11 key areas that were identified by the county's pedestrian interest points plan that will help evaluate the walking and biking safety, comfort, access, and conditions of these areas that are highlighted within these 5 focus area sessions. You can register for the session by simply clicking on the register for a session. If you don't mind selecting that for me, Stephanie. So once you're on this page, if you go ahead and click on Let's Go, what you'll do is you'll simply start by selecting which focus area session you would want to participate in. You can select all 5 or as many as you would like. The dates and times have been already pre-planned and they're on the website before you as well. Once you select the focus area sessions that you want to attend, you go ahead and click OK. You will enter your first name, last name, and your email address. You don't mind going back to the website, Stephanie? Thank you very much. So the other component of the community outreach effort would be the online mapping tool. If you don't mind selecting that for me, Stephanie. This interactive online mapping tool is something that I highly recommend that the commissioners along with the public use. There's a little disclaimer about the actual plan. Go ahead and select OK for me. And maybe the chair or one of the commissioners, if you don't mind, if you want to just, let's walk you through and let's highlight one specific area within the city so that we all get to see how this map works. So I don't know if there's a commissioner or someone that would want to participate in this part of the presentation.
I'll participate.
Sure, I'll do it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Ms. Lopez.
All right, thank you very much. So if you don't mind, what happens on this page, there is the feature for you to show or identify either positive or areas that you think need improvement for either walking, biking, or getting to public transit. So if you don't mind, maybe just kind of describing an area that you can think of off the top of your head, and then we'll go to that area of the map, and then we'll start dropping these pins and identify the information or problems or maybe something positive about that intersection that can be useful for other areas of the city. So do you have an area in mind that we can use? And is this for Helen, Commissioner Helen?
Yes. Yes. I take the public transportation, like the train, to downtown LA for work from time to time. So I'll be interested to see public transit lines for to the train station, for example. I guess will that be in the circle part 2? I see a circle with the number 2 on it. Will that be in that area?
Yeah. So these numbers that are highlighted on the map are the 11 focus areas that were identified by the county active transportation plan. And once you go towards these focus areas, and I'm sorry I couldn't hear your comment, Commissioner Chang, but just for the benefit of the commission and the public, Stephen, if you don't mind, maybe just selecting one of the walking pins and then dropping it at the intersection 11th, and you can just select any one of those intersections. So once you have identified the location, on the left hand of the screen, you'll identify whether this is walking, biking, a key destination, getting to transit, or just another comment. Let's go ahead and select walking for the purpose of this presentation. And then we'll identify whether if it's within a focused area. So you can go ahead and select item number 2. Then it'll ask information about the conditions of the sidewalk. Are there sidewalks? No sidewalks in this location. So let's go ahead and just select no sidewalk or path at this location. And then we'll go ahead and go into the safety and comfort component. We can identify that maybe at this location it's too uncomfortable to walk because of high traffic speeds. So we'll select that other option. Or if none of those options are applicable to your comment, it also allows you to provide a comment below, which is the very last option. If you select that one, we can just go ahead and select that one, and then driver behavior will identify if there any of these issues are relevant to this location. So if you want to just go ahead and select any of them for the purpose of this presentation, Stephanie. along with the intersection and crossings, so we can identify further information regarding this intersection. And if we wanted to include any specific comments for this location, we can go ahead and just include any specific comment, or we can also attach a file that it could be a picture or any additional documentation that you want to include that can be uploaded onto this website. Once you have selected all that information, you would just simply hit the Save button, and then you'll see the teal green icon automatically turn into the pin logo that was selected at the beginning of this presentation. So just go ahead, yeah, there you go. So that's what the pin would look like on the map. And Stephanie, if you hit the home button at the top right-hand corner of the screen, so we can see the entire city of, on the right, on the other side, I'm sorry. There you go. So now you see that we'll have the icon that was just dropped that identified that intersection. And then this map also provides at the very top a separate layer that can be turned on, and this would be for the aerial image. It'll be the following icon on the right-hand side. The next one over, yeah, there you go. So that would give you the base map gallery. So if you want to see this map with the image, the satellite view of the city, or if you just want to use the standard base map. Does anybody have any questions regarding this online mobility map? No? Okay. So we go back to the website. So in addition to that, there is a project survey that's available to the public, which does help provide additional information to the staff and also the project team about other concerns that the community can have about this project or the city. The project survey is only about 15 questions. Phase 2 of the community outreach efforts will take place later on throughout the year during the summer season. Dates haven't been identified at this point, but we'll provide updates on the actual website, also on our city's website. As you continue to scroll down on the website, you'll see that there is information about other planning efforts, such as the City of San Bernardino's general plan update, where it also includes a link that will take you directly to the general plan update webpage. If you scroll down a little bit further, Stephanie, there's also links that will identify existing and planned bikeways, safe routes to school sites, as well as pedestrian interest points that were identified by the county's active transportation plan. And there's also a link that will take you to the plan in that area where it says Open Data Portal. And then as you scroll down, this allows you to access the public transit throughout the city. There are links also associated to this component of the webpage that will take you to specific plans of Omnitrans, for example. And then the map, as you see in the background, does change as you scroll up and down, that it shows you the different areas. And then in this part of the website, it identifies local plans that relate to the city as far as specific plans. There's also a link that will take you to the city-specific plans. And as we continue down the page, there is a project schedule that identifies the kickoff meeting that took place back in November. It also talks about the current engagement phase, which is going on right now, phase 1, future phases of the community outreach engagement, and then the completion of the plan, which would take place February of 2022. At the end of the website, there is a dedicated email address. So if the public has any questions or comments, they can simply email us using that dedicated email address, as well as our mailing address. With that, I highly encourage that all the planning commissioners, along with the public, viewing tonight's meeting use the website and help spread the news to your neighbors to further assist in the development of a successful active transportation plan. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm available to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. That was a wonderful presentation. Does the commissioners have any comments or any questions?
I have a question.
Oh, yes, Commissioner Chang.
Okay. So currently we're in the data collection phase, right? And are we utilizing the ArcGIS software? I assume it's hosted. That's the S-ray software. Are we using that software to collect the data? And if I understood it correctly, because I wasn't sure about what I heard you said, Mr. Luna, is that individuals or citizens of this town could use that software to input the data and comment using the software, right?
That's correct.
Is that what you meant? Okay.
Yes.
So that's open access to the public, and then they will have to enter the data on the website because it's not an app on the phone. Sorry, I'm Apple related.
Actually,
Actually,
I apologize. No, it's not an app, but there is a mobile version of this website that's available to the public. All the data that is collected is private, and there is little bits of information that is shared on the map as far as like the concerns that were identified using those drop pins icons.
Right.
But any other information like email addresses or names or phone numbers, that will not be displayed on the website.
Okay, sounds good. So the users will have to register first in order to input the data.
No, not for the actual online map, not for that component. Anybody, it's open to the public, and you don't need to register for that.
Okay, thank you. Now, I was just curious about the interface of that website. Thank you. That's
You're
all I
welcome.
have.
All right. Commissioner Lewis, you seem to have a question.
Yes. In the, I saw some diagrams showing that there is an area like right around 40th Street that some of the ATP will be affecting. And in addition to that, I understand that the roads or surface roads or whatever are a part of the upgrade. Am I understanding that correctly? Because 40th Street is a hard street. It's got lots of issues.
So if I may, commissioners, so this is a small component of our overall vision for the city. And so if I could characterize it. So as we're going through our general plan update, we're looking at different aspects of the community, our utility services, our roads, land uses, all those things. So what we're going to do is through this exercise, through the ATP, is we're gathering some information, basically soliciting the input from the community. What are, these are areas, these are focus areas that have been identified. And I will point out that the team has worked in collaboration with the county, transportation team, because they're doing a similar exercise, by the way, countywide. And so what we've done is we've tried to minimize the duplication of areas, if you will. So what they've done, they've gone through a whole study. These are areas the county has said these are the ones we're going to study within the city. So then these are other areas that you may want to consider that were on our priority list. Those are the ones that we've focused on. And then here at the city, we've also included some others. Well, how about this spot or that spot? And so this is all really part of an information gathering thing. We're not saying that this is where the trail is going to go, or specifically, we're not identifying that at this time. We're basically, these are potential areas. And so what we'll do is the product of the plan, if you will, that when we complete the exercise as I outlined in the schedule, is we will take that information that we've gathered and we will provide that to PlaceWorks, which is our general plan consulting team, and then we will further examine that as part of our general plan effort, and then integrate it into our overall plan. So this exercise, this ATP, is not to end up with projects in it itself. All it's really doing is it's a focused exercise for connectivity, where, walking, biking, and transit. And so like Commissioner Chang had mentioned, we have a train station, and we also have the transit center down here on Rialto. How do you get to those, right? And so if I, let's say as an example, if I live up there by 40th Street where you're mentioning, and I need to get to the train station or to the transit center, how do I do that, right? If it's not easy for me to do that, I will never use those two systems, right? So the goal is, hopefully, if there's a level of interest, that there's a volume of people in particular areas that say, you know what, I really need to get to the train station. The transit center is awesome, but it does me no good, right? And if there's an outpouring of interest to use that, to want to use that system, then we could say, well, okay, you know what, we are in need of something that connects these specific areas of the community to. So we're also working with Omnitrans. They have their bus, they have their dedicated bus routes, and so it's like, how do those interface with some of these focus areas, and like I mentioned, with our transit center and our train station. And so again, I just wanted to emphasize that this exercise in and itself is not going to result in a specific project or improvements. Simply going to be to gather information. That's why if nothing else, and like I mentioned at the last meeting, we got to get the word out, and we're doing everything we can, because we know that not everyone has access to the computer, so we're looking at other ways to engage the community and solicit their participation and input. It doesn't do any good if it's just my ideas on the piece of paper. I'm exaggerating, you know what I mean? Or just a select few. We have a few people that live in San Bernardino, and so we need to maximize that input. If it's just a handful, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And so if nothing else, we'll ask, talk to your neighbors and friends and point them in the direction. If you don't remember what the website is, hopefully you remember Oliver. And you could just tell them to call over at City Hall, and I'll point them in the right direction.
Okay, thanks, Oliver.
You're welcome.
All right. Before we take another comment, I am going to pass the mantle on to Commissioner Lopez. I have a prior engagement, so thank you everyone for attending, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
I have a quick comment or comments. Given that the county is also going through a similar exercise with areas in the city of San Bernardino, I don't know if the website has it, but it might be good to have a link to their website, so folks who are interested in other areas that the county is covering, they're able to get there. What was my other comment? Oh, and in terms of engagement, I'm wondering if it makes sense to get engaged with school districts. I know parent input would be really great for kids who walk to school in these areas. So wondering how the planning department has interfaced with the school district before.
So if I may, and I don't remember all the organizations that are part of this group, and so we're the facilitators, if you will. With the city received the grant for that through SCAG. SCAG is playing a big role in this, and they've retained a consulting team, KOA, that's assisting us with this. Along with that, we have a technical advisory committee that has been assembled. So we have a representative, and Harold will fill in the blanks, but we do have a representative from SBCTA, which is the County Transit, Authority. Omnitrans is on there, and we have the school district as well. And we have a handful of other organizations, and so we meet regularly. We're actually going to meet this week again to kind of go over. And so there is, what the discussion is that what we're doing, we're sharing, and what they're doing, they're going to share with us. And so this is, I appreciate the suggestion of including those other efforts. My guess is it's going to be beyond just the county's ATP program. I know that the school district, Cal State, they're doing some things, and so this, like the general plan website, I keep referring to that. This ATP website is going to be fluid. As new information comes, we will update the website, and again, so it's going to be one of those things that you can't say, well, I already looked at it, I don't need to look at it again. You need to keep going back and see what new information came up. There's going to be surveys. We'll post the results of the surveys. We're not going to post people's email addresses and those things, but we'll say of the 200 people that responded, this is what the responses were. This was the areas of focus that were picked. This is a sampling of some of the comments, and so I appreciate that we are looking to broaden. We've already included other organizations that we will include, and like I said, we kicked this off. It was Monday, right? Was it Monday, Harold, that this website was kicked off? And so
yes.
This is fresh. We get excited. We want to show that we want to unveil it as quickly as we can. And there's a tweaking, that's going to naturally occur.
And just to kind of piggyback off of Oliver's comments and to help for the benefit of the commission, we do have, as part of the TAC committee, we do have a member from the San Bernardino City Unified School District as part of one of the members. And, we have members from the Inland Empire Biking Alliance. We also have members from Caltrans, Cal State University, San Bernardino Valley College, Metrolink, Omnitrans. So we do have a variety of TAC members that are going to help shape this plan. And then getting back to your first question, Commissioner Flores, in the other planning efforts of the webpage, there is a direct link for the active transportation plan for the county. So there is that link there on the webpage.
Perfect. Thank you. Great work.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments on this?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure, Commissioner Quill.
Thank you. Is the county using the same website?
No.
A different website?
No. There's several of these brands. SCAG. There is a number. Some of our neighboring cities, I believe, Fontana and Rialto have a similar grant, and so everyone's doing their own website.
Can I also ask how much money is allotted for this program?
I believe our grant was a total of $200,000.
Okay. And so back to the website. So this website was designed by a company that designs those websites, and then they go to the cities to help promote this?
No. So SCAG is the they're the administrator of the grant, right? And then KOA, which is the consulting team that was selected by the city and SCAG. And so it was actually, the website was created with our input. And so that was an exercise. Harold spent a lot of time on this with them, everything from the logo to the color of the lettering, the layout. I mean, those were things that were being reviewed constantly. And so the website is unique. It was not a web designer that was trying to sell us wares. This website design is unique to the city of San Bernardino as created by us and the consulting team.
Thank you, Oliver.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Then if there are no more questions or comments, we thank you for the presentation. And I guess we're just receiving or accepting
Yes.
the information about the website. Thank you very much. I
Thank you,
guess
Harold.
that
You're welcome.
the next item is, Oliver, do you have a director's report?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to report that you may recall we had that application development permit type P 20-10, which was the Dollar General store application that was up there on the southeast corner of Marshall and E Street. The Planning Commission approved that item, and that was actually appealed by one of the residents with the help of a petition that was circulated and such. So that was filed, and that will be going before the mayor and city council at their meeting of May 5th for consideration. And so I just wanted to let you know that was appealed. And then on another note, you may have already read or heard that the landing project, the warehouse facility up there by the airport, proposed by San Manuel, that was also approved by the city council also. And then on the next meeting of the is that the 17th, Stephanie? What's the next council meeting? The next one coming up? That's the
21st.
21st. There you go. That's what I meant. On the meeting of the 21st, the city council will be considering the ADU ordinance, accessory dwelling units. So that'll be on the agenda for them to consider. And that concludes my update, and we'll keep plugging along. And as we indicated, I will provide an update at our next meeting as to the status of the survey of the existing cell towers within the city.
Okay. Any questions for Oliver? No. Okay. Well, are there any questions, announcements? Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Oliver, any idea as to when we will be meeting in person?
Oh, you didn't hear it from me, but there, with the opening and the restrictions being loosened a little bit, I will say that there is some conversation about possibly in summertime at some point. I don't know exactly when, but I kind of like the meetings like this, but not because I don't like seeing the group in person, but there are discussions about opening back up, and I think that the council is moving towards that direction. It's just a question of when, the logistics, safety, health and safety measures, and such. But we'll keep on this track, and we'll see how long we can stay on here.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious as far as with the state opening up mid-June. So if that would be a possibility for us to go back to in-person meetings.
Well, I know that we just opened up our counter. I mean, prior to, we were it was by appointment only. If you wanted to pull your building permits or those kinds of things at the building counter, you had to make an appointment and wait outside and until your time was allotted time was arrived. We were doing from the planning standpoint, we were doing everything via Zoom. We meeting with our applicants and through via Zoom and emails. So that's how we have been operating. So starting this Monday, yesterday, we've opened up our doors, and so we still have appointments. But I was telling that we're like a hair salon. We take walk-ins now too, and so and so you have an appointment. It's always better to have an appointment or reservations, right? And so we take those as they come in, and then if you're walking, you can sign in, and you wait outside. We're still doing the distancing protocols, and so you wait outside. You write your name and your number on the clipboard. You wait outside of city, in your car or outside, what have you, and then as an opening comes up, you're called, and then you're welcomed in. We aren't bringing anyone back into the counter. If you remember how we were set up, back there with the partition, the glass where they.
Oh.
So we haven't been bringing anyone back there to those desks, so everything's done, through the window, if you will.
Mhm.
And it'll still be that way. We have not yet reached a point where we're going to meet with applicants in person, kind of a thing. If the planning part of the counter is open, if someone wants to come to the counter, they want to know what the zoning is of their property or what they can do here and there. That's available, when they sign in. But physically meeting with our applicants, that's there has not been any discussion of when we're going to start doing that again. And so it's while we are in a mode to provide service to our residents and things, we have to be mindful of staff and those internal, to minimize that exposure as well. And so there's a lot of things that we've been tossing around, and how do we continue to better serve our residents, and so we'll keep striving towards that.
Good to know. Are there any other questions of Oliver?
Yes, I have a question. Oliver, is there any update on what our code enforcement program within the city is doing? If you take a drive through our city, it's looking worse and worse every day. And I know perhaps maybe the COVID thing caused code to slow down a little bit, but now we're dealing with boarded up and burned down buildings that aren't getting cleaned up. And so as a commissioner, we're getting quite a few questions out there about what's going on. Is there any update?
We again, the COVID, has struck a lot of things. The challenge is that, the city has a sizable geographic area, and not as an excuse. I think we have five or six code enforcement officers, and so our resources there are limited. I know that they are very active. I could say that because a lot of those cases, if not all of them, end up speaking to the planning department. Someone built an addition. People overran this. There's people living in this. What in this area? What do we do? You're right. A lot of vacant buildings have been taken over, kind of a thing. And I know that fire department is very active with us also, because there are a lot of hazards that are out there. And then the other part of the equation is that there are human rights also, frankly, and so there are people that begin living in at a location, squatters, if you will, and how do we lawfully, I guess, remove them, and so. So you're right. I mean, it is a challenge. It's unfortunate that we're seeing more buildings that are destroyed. Sometimes maybe not even intentionally. People, they go into a building, it gets cold, they light a fire to keep warm, they fall asleep, and next thing you know, the building's on fire. And so I don't know if that answered your question, but I can tell you that there is a code enforcement department, and I can tell you that they're out there hustling. And so.
At a recent presentation, I asked our city manager, Mr. Field, that question, because I had seen that we were doing a little bit better fiscally. Were they going to be hiring more code enforcement? Because that's a number one concern, a number one question, a number one complaint. He did say they were. He did say it was going to be a process, because personnel recruiting and all of that is always a process. But he's the one, should you, anyone, if you have a question about that or want to press it upon him, that we really need to focus on hiring more code enforcement officers as soon as possible. But he did say that the city was looking towards hiring more code enforcement officers to deal with all of this extra work. So that's the last I heard. Any other questions or comments or announcements from any of the commissioners or the staff or Albert before we adjourn?
No, I
Then
think
can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting, there being no more business before this commission?
I will make a
Second.
motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Stephanie, do you have to do the, or should we just all say
I can say aye.
thumbs up? And just a
There
reminder,
you go.
thank you everyone for participating, and you'll get notice about
Thank
our
you.
next meeting.
Have a good evening, commissioners. Stay safe.